bida bang. Coach Minzy. Best round here. Remember that.
All right, people, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the coach's desk. It's another weekend, and we're looking for another weekend triple treat. It's Friday night. So many things transpired throughout today. Reggae Boy squad drop. Some of the ballers are injured. Some are there. New faces, returnees, and so forth. But before we get into the meat and the matter of that, we want to have a discussion with Denzil Wilks. Yes, he's a former head of the SDF. He joined the JFF as a member of the technical committee. However, because he spoke up for Lorne Donaldson in what transpired, he was suspended. And he's here. He will be joining us, to talk about that situation, and we might touch into other things. He has a limited time though, so we want to cram every single thing in this time until we, sort out or get the best or the most out of Mr. Wilks. All right, so people, big squad job today. Only like the squad. Only like the squad. Oh, only like the squad, people. Yeah, man. I think the dropping of Whisper, inclusion of Hector and the new boy, Anderson, that we have been calling for, is a big deal. You understand? It's a big deal. And I think those are matters that came out of the press conference. And I think Coach Grimo is learning the thing, because even with giving us information on some of the injured players, he made mention that you might see some playing, and then because fans, we have been talking about how you say somebody injured and then they played this weekend, so he make sure add that in so the people can understand that, hey, even though you might see a player play on the weekend, don't get it twisted. Do not get it twisted. These persons will still need treatment. Big up to Rob Smith. Rob Smith in the building. Big up to Fresh God as well. Big up to the persons who are already watching and have not commented. Oyini in the building. Cataract. Man, laugh off of you today. It's a long time coming for the 18-year-old. Cataract. How go on? We say the for your years. A ball game time. Yeah, man, a ball game time, man. Devon Porter, big up yourself, I'm happy for another one of my sons, Karai Anderson's, getting his first call up to the national. Actually, big up yourself. Yeah, man. Hey, Cataract asked a question. It's been a long time coming with Karai Anderson. Man, them say, coach say, it's a long time coming with an 18-year-old. Yeah, man. Hector lead the cricket side. A matter of fact, Hector is playing pretty decent at Charlton himself and Karai. So, I mean, the coach say, yo, make we see what going on with him now. Or you need to because them don't know. But one January Let's try that again. Hey, Janual, sad, yo, the cataract. Hold on there. Let me get to Mr. Wilks and hear what he's saying. Yeah, people. Yeah, man. Big up yourself. Sorry about that, people. We had Mr. Wilks online just now. He wanted to come on, but he doesn't know how. So I'm sort of helping him out with that part of it. So bear with me with that just now. So hence the reason why I muted the phone. Cataract. Um so 2 years now for Kara. I know him no. Yeah, but the man say it's been a long time coming. The man say for a 18-year-old cataract, 2 years and a long year, man. Sean Answer said the squad look good, missing some key players still. Yeah, man, some players are injured and they are going to be treated, hence the reasons why they are not in the team. People have son in a squad. Yeah, man, cataract have cousin and know him have son. Mm. Esther, big up yourself. Who I like to clone these guys who make a comment, then ask a question for validation. I want to look a joke, I look a clown man for tuna because him not is this past the mic contest. After a coach, I send around the mic for them get involved as coaches, assistant coaches. Kara was the first youth to apply for passport out of those youngsters, and everyone else got called up to U20, and some got from senior from debut. A team I talk about this, you know. So people may have multitask right now because me I try send Mr. Wilks the link. All right, him send him email, so me I go send the link to him email right now. Cause 1 year we must say now because people enough. BEN forget him on, we are gonna call him. All right, so that is sent. One for you are going with the JFF and Mr. Wilks, you know. Coach reading for much press. Dropping a 17 years old waiting to Chelsea because people vex he not picking a 30 without a club is stupid. Rob Smith. Rob Smith, be careful when you get back. Oh, lock off your son. Nobody no lock off his son, Oyini. I want him, man. You alone play son, in man. Dead son, you alone play dead son. Strong squad. I doubt Antonio will show up. He did not play midweek. Coach, I am a deaf or your son gone. Yeah, man. Me not just telling you what going. I me the back of time with the comment. I guess so. Welcome to Silent Desk where we practice library etiquette. Triple E, big up yourself. It's been a long time coming, but the sound is gonna come. JFF is big up yourself. Father Pinnock is a big mess. Yeah, man. Don't know Ethan I boss, you know. No misbehaving in the chat tonight. No misbehaving. Okay. Mikel Antonio will not come. He is a game time decision for West Ham. West Ham and Mikel. All right. Have Pinnock ever made 2 windows in a row? All right, people. So we have Mr. Wilks coming on now. He's joining us. So I'm just gonna take him from the waiting room and put him on screen so we can get into the conversation. And people get to know question up and running, you know. All right. Because this is where we have riveting conversations about riveting topics that is out there in the media. Mr. Wilks, welcome to the coach's desk.
Thank you very much, sir. I hope you're hearing me clearly.
Yes, man, we're hearing you loud and clear. And thanks very much for taking up the opportunity to speak with us here on the coach's desk. This is where you get your sporting experience, of course. So we're happy that you decided to, come here and have a little talk about things pertaining to your position on the technical committee and so forth. But before we delve into that, Mr. Wilks, just give us a rundown on your experience as a sports administrator, because we know that you were the leader of the SDF at one particular point, and you have been involved in football right across the island for a number of years. So just give us a little backdrop of who you really are.
Wow. Can I begin though by just expressing condolences to the family of Mr. Gibbs
Yes.
Williams, who was cut down the prime of his life earlier on. some major tragedy. The GC Foster community, the entire cricketing fraternity, his family over in Portmore, and I'm sure the entire community would be oh so saddened by this occurrence. And we just pray that God will strengthen those who grieve at this time.
Yeah, man. I agree with you totally on that one.
Okay, I've been around for a while. A glance at me will show that. I went to KC. I played some football there. Junior Colts. And in those days, that's what it was called before the days of Pepsi and that sort of thing. And was also involved at the Manning Cup level. Left school, played Alan Cole football, Major League Football here in Jamaica. Played first division football in Grenada when I resided there for approximately 3 years. Came back home, played a little bit more football, and then probably got into administration in a more serious way. Sometime in the 80s, I assisted David Hunt at Midhaven. But previous to that, before I left Jamaica, I was the president of a club, the Uniques United Club, which morphed into Whitfield Major League Club later on. And so administration really started from way back then. In terms of professional administration from a paid perspective, that really more came along when I got into business with the Sports Development Foundation, first of all in 2004. Spent just under a year that time. Went back in 2014 and spent just about 9.5 years. And just recently shifted to the Faculty of Sports here at the University of the West Indies, where I am called Manager Athletic Development and Training, but it's still all about sporting administration.
Okay, awesome. So well involved in sports there. I mean, we could say that you're one of the pioneers where sports administration is concerned in Jamaica. But yeah, let's get to the meat of the matter, because you did say that you don't have a lot of time. So we want to get to the meat of the matter. Firstly, why weren't you at the meeting with Dennis Strong and Coach Lon Donaldson at the time that it was supposed to be done, so that you
Well, that I was, as I've said on a number of occasions before, I was late for the meeting. I got to the meeting room 5 minutes after it was scheduled to start.
Okay.
And I ran into Lauren Donaldson exiting the meeting room. I mean, if we were blind, we'd probably have an accident.
Okay.
Literally, that's how it was. So Lauren advises me that the meeting started a minute after 1 o'clock. So obviously they had a 4-minute meeting just when I was getting there. So it's not a matter that I didn't plan to be there. I just ran a little bit late. The meeting had been scheduled for the morning. I went down and then it was postponed for the afternoon. And I got there, as I have said, a little bit late, but it didn't last more than 4 to 4.5 minutes.
So this basically clarifies what Coach Lon Donaldson said, that this meeting was not a long meeting. It was less than 5 minutes.
Yes,
I mean,
that's absolutely correct.
All right, but as a member of the technical committee, Sir Denzil Wilks, do you believe that it was prudent on your part to go out and make certain statements in regards to what transpired with Coach Donaldson?
Oh, yes. Well, my statements started from before I spoke the previous to that. First of all, I wasn't speaking following a technical committee meeting, you know.
Okay.
I was because there was no meeting. So I was expressing my views as to how things possibly should have gone. Oh yes, I spoke the afternoon after Lauren's contract was not renewed. And of course, I think it was absolutely correct to speak because there's no gag order on me. And two, we have a situation where football administration is in absolute trouble. And here we have a coach that has taken a Jamaica team further than where any other coach, including the legendary Rene Simoes, not to mention going way back to people like George Thompson. This coach has done and gone further than any other coach previous to now. And for him not to have his contract renewed is not even the main point, but it is the disdain with which he was treated that made me want to comment. And as I have indicated, I have absolutely no regrets for commenting. I think I did the absolutely correct thing, because these things can no longer be swept under the carpet. They must be put in the public domain so that the public can make a judgment as to what is happening behind the scenes. We have
So,
been.
so, Sir Wilks, is it a situation where the technical committee met and have a breakdown of what transpired between Lon Donaldson's contractual agreement and came to a decision, or it was a decision that was made outside of the realms of the technical committee?
Well, to answer that, I can only speak as far as my knowledge is concerned. To my knowledge, there was no meeting of the technical committee. I was not invited to any meeting of the committee to make
As
an
a member of the
assessment.
technical committee?
Well, I'm not saying there was a meeting,
Okay.
I'm saying, to my knowledge, there was no meeting. If there was a meeting, it means I was not invited, because I have no invitation. And I normally get my invitations to the technical committee, whether by WhatsApp or by emails and that sort of thing. And I received no such thing. I became aware of the meeting between Mr. Donaldson and Mr. Chung, and my information was that the president was also expected, as a result of Mr. Donaldson calling me and asking me to accompany him to the meeting.
Oh, okay.
So prior to that, as far as assessment of Lauren is concerned, there was no meeting. And that seems to be where some people seem to be thinking that there was this meeting of the technical committee. They made a decision not to renew Lauren's contract, and I then went and spoke. No, nothing like that. That decision was communicated to Lauren by Mr. Chung in a very brief meeting. Prior to that, nothing.
All right. So what is the modus operandi of the technical committee when it comes on to coaches' job situation or contract situation?
Standard operating procedure. Tournament is finished. Coach is required to provide a report. Report is circulated. Technical committee members look at it and make decisions. Decisions can involve, criticisms as to where there may be weaknesses and how it can be strengthened. In this particular case, where a contract is coming to an end, the technical committee would assess the performance of the coach over the period and make a determination as to whether or not they think that the coach should be renewed. And in that, if that's the determination of the committee, then that would be communicated to the executive of the JFF as a recommendation, because the decision-making powers lie with the board of the Jamaica Football Federation.
Okay, and that did not, to your knowledge, happen where Lauren's renewal or non-renewal of his contract is concerned?
That's correct.
But why, how long have you been on the technical committee, a member of the technical committee?
Oh, wow. Been on the technical committee possibly for over 4 years, certainly.
So is it a case, because I guess there's a KC connection, or why you came out now and spoke up for Lauren, or is it a situation where because he called upon you to actually be at the meeting, you saw it fit now to take that stance?
All right, let's track it. I was called by Lauren to accompany him because of our association from way back when we played on the same football team way back in
Mm-hmm.
1971. Secondly, when the media started getting word
Mm-hmm.
that the contract of Lauren Donaldson had not been renewed, the media started getting in touch with me, and
Oh.
I responded. So my speaking out has nothing to do with any KC connection. My speaking out has to do with football in Jamaica.
Yes. Is it a case now, Mr. Wilks? Because I understand from information reaching the coach's desk is that you are a part of the builder Raymond Anderson's team. And is it one of the reasons why you would have started this campaign to start to speak out against the happenings or the maladministration of this present administration in the JFF?
But I've been speaking out against maladministration, as you properly describe it, from I was the general manager of the Sports Development Foundation. Not
Mm-hmm.
publicly so much, because we had a relationship with the Football Federation, which is the sporting association that receives the greatest amount of money in terms of monthly subvention. And I have had many reasons to be critical of the administration of the SDF. I've had meetings with the president
Mm-hmm.
and made recommendations for how the administration can be improved for greater transparency, for greater efficiency. And in ad hoc, informal meetings, I have spoken numerous occasions about the weaknesses. Now, to the contrary, in terms of what you said, if it is because I'm part of the Raymond Anderson team,
Mm-hmm.
it is because of the maladministration why I found it necessary to get involved with a team that is seeking to bring some efficiency, some transparency, and some genuine growth to the football in Jamaica.
Yeah, but Mr. Wills, that is a different story now, because this team that you're a part of is actually a part of the JFF that is maladministered, which Mr. Anderson is one of the VPs. So I can't fathom it to date what difference will a Mr. Anderson bring to the football, because he did say that he is not a leader, he's a team player. And if you're running for a position and you're going to utter that you're not a leader, I have a problem with that.
But
So,
I'm not going to get into the assessment of what Mr. Anderson said in terms of whether he's a leader or a team player. What I will say
mhm,
is that when there's an administration comprises numerous persons, and when one finds weaknesses with that administration, I am not one who believes, if I may use the proverbial term, that
mhm,
one always has to throw out the baby with the bathwater. Now, the efforts by Mr. Anderson to attain leadership of the Football Federation, in my view, if one chooses to support, whether it was Mr. Anderson or anybody else, what
mhm.
is necessary is to build such a strong team around that person who happens to be in the leadership position that you reduce significantly, because you cannot take it away completely, but you
Mhm.
reduce significantly the likelihood of maladministration. So I don't share the view that because Mr. Anderson has been a part of the football administration for a very long time, by the way, that means that he doesn't have the capacity to be part of the rescue mission. In fact, if you're talking about organizations, it is always good to have some internal experience on a different team in order to be able to be guided, because those who are coming from outside are likely to experience some difficulty getting up to speed when a significant change takes place.
All right, I hear it, but I don't want to really delve too much into that because this is about your suspension. So
Oh,
is it a case where nobody on the technical committee, or a matter of fact in JFF, that should actually speak out against the JFF? Because what the fans are really looking at, Mr. Wilks, is that because Lorne Donaldson spoke some stuff, he was victimized. Did you get that sort of feeling because you spoke out, you were victimized as well?
yes. um, I don't even call what has happened to me victimization, but I suppose by definition that's what it amounts to.
Mm-hmm.
But there's little doubt in my mind that Lorne has suffered significantly from his openness in terms of expressing dissatisfaction with some of the weaknesses that have taken place while he's been trying to lead the team in getting to where they have gotten to. So one could say that the girls have done as well as they have done between 2019 and 2023, in spite of the inefficiencies of the Football Federation. And yes, there have been times when Lauren has spoken out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, even if one can rightly say that Lauren may have spoken out of turn here and there, his performance has been so professional. His achievements have been so significant. I have had the privilege of leading in many instances. I've led the Sports Development Foundation for a long time. That was by no means my first job as a CEO. And I encourage criticism. And when criticism comes, even if it makes you uncomfortable, you must never take revenge based on that criticism,
Mm-hmm.
because criticism can help to make you a better person. So even if you're feeling a little queasy when Lauren is saying, boy, 6 weeks and the girls are now back here and their equipment has not been cleared from the wharf in order for them to start training for the Olympics. And so you speak openly about that. If the leadership is going to say, we are going to punish you because you say that, then it's not a worthwhile leadership. It's petty, it's puerile, and well, it's not worthy as far as I'm concerned.
So basically, his contract was not renewed based off probably feelings more so than his performance. Because I want to ask you this question: you might be privy to the contractual arrangement that was made between the JFF and Lorne Donaldson, because I guess it would have to go through the technical committee. Well, you said no meeting transpired, but based off what he did, is everybody on the technical committee is in agreement with what transpired?
Well, can I tell you that there was no opportunity formally for me to find that out,
So what
because
did
there
the
was no
WhatsApp
meeting.
group said? What did the WhatsApp group say?
Nothing, the WhatsApp technical committee group, to my knowledge, well, in terms of what I see on the what, nothing was said by any member of that group regarding what was done. And there was nothing that commented on why it was the general secretary who simply met with Lauren, the general secretary, and his assistant to provide him with the information that the contract was not to be renewed. In other words, the JFF has every right, if they see it fit, not to renew Mr. Donaldson's contract. One is not
Mm-hmm.
saying that they are obliged to renew the contract,
Mm-hmm.
but one would assume that the main basis for renewal or non-renewal is performance. What I do know is that it was suggested by the General Secretary that if the team had made it to the Olympics, then he may have been considered for renewal. Now, I find that ridiculous following the performance of the team in terms of getting to successive World Cups where Lon is involved on both occasions, and then getting to the knockout round, unprecedented in terms of the English speaking Caribbean, right? So if it's a performance test, then that clearly cannot be the reason. There has to be some other reason which I'm not even prepared to speculate on.
Okay, but you have an idea.
I have my own thoughts.
You want to share it with us?
No,
but remember they suspend you, so you should be holding back right
now. No, man. My speaking or not speaking has nothing to do with that suspension, because as you are aware, I informed the media without hesitation that I received this letter of suspension, and I made it clear that whatever my utterances, because there was a suggestion in the letter that my utterances had to do with my being suspended. I reaffirmed my utterances. I made it clear that I am not taking back anything that I said, because I really do not need to be on the technical committee if those who are in power don't think I am worthy. This is not a job that I am seeking, and I am willing to stay away so that those who consider themselves more capable than I can proceed.
So is it a long-term suspension?
The letter said suspended. It didn't use the term indefinitely, but it said words to the effect that I would hear further at some other point in time. I haven't heard anything else since then.
Okay, so well, there was a particular coach that was suspended, and we heard that he's gonna be put different place and on until now. But leave that alone. So the technical committee. A matter of fact, let me leave the technical committee. So the performance and the running, the operation of the JFF, Mr. Wilks. Do you agree that it is not operating as it should be operating?
No, man, the transparency, the efficiency, or the lack thereof, it's been appalling. The JFF experienced difficulties with a previous general secretary, and following that, a determination was made to discontinue arrangements with that general secretary. The general secretary that has come into place, when that happened, the faux pas, the foul-ups, if you want to call it that, continued, and in fact, I would suggest increased. And that is an indication. It's either that it wasn't a general secretary problem, or the replacement was certainly no better than the previous one. But what we can say overall is that the stakeholders, the critical stakeholders, the people who play, the people who represent, are having tremendous difficulties. There are things having to do with a lack of transparency. So not even the people who are involved, not to mention the public, are aware of all that is taking place.
Tell us some of those non-transparent issues that we as the public need to know that is taking place.
Well, it's becoming clear now. The whole situation with Lord Donaldson is a critical one. The matter of payments to all the people. We are getting different information as to what has been paid to date. In fact, in the discourse, I am aware that the General Secretary suggested that all payments had been made, and Lauren had to point out, and this is being reported to me by Lauren because we have already said how that went. Lauren had to point out that no, there are still outstanding payments, and not just to him, to the girls. There is very little that the public is aware of. And in another dispensation, there wasn't enough transparency even to the funding agency, like the Sports Development Foundation, the reporting of the JFF to the Sports Development Foundation. All of these things, there have been tremendous weaknesses over a long period of time, even preceding the current administration. But what has happened with the current administration is that all of this has also been tinged with what I can only describe as some amount of arrogance. Then there is another issue in terms of how staff has been treated, and there has been quite a bit of loss of staff of the federation. And that is something that you should investigate. I'm not going to call any names as to who have left, but I know that a number of staff have resigned because of the maladministration. So there are many examples and instances, and you have now joined the ranks of investigative journalism. So dig deep.
Yes, man. I'll definitely get into that one. Do you travel with the team when the team goes away?
No, I have never traveled with the team, not even to Negril. Never once.
Why so many of them has to go with the team?
I
Or certain people have to go on the trip each time they travel?
I cannot answer that question.
Or you don't want to answer it?
No, I don't know why. I really don't know why. I would ask the question equally with you, because I don't think we, and I say we, meaning I put myself in the group, we have been as efficient as we ought to be in terms of expenditure where that is concerned. I don't think that has been exhibited over the years in terms of the accompanying persons and that sort of thing. And then there are times when possibly persons should go and they don't go, as against when so many don't have to go, but they all get together and go. And that is part of what has come out in terms of the FIFA monitoring that is taking place.
Is there a FIFA officer there at the JFF each day monitoring the
That's my understanding. There's a consultant acting on behalf of FIFA doing what one could loosely call audit of all the various operations.
Was there like misappropriation of the
I'm not
finances?
aware of that. I have no knowledge of any such thing.
Okay. So no misappropriation of funds.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying I have no knowledge.
You have no knowledge.
That's right.
But you answer.
You won't get me to speculate on that either.
No, I'm not saying you're speculating about how your answer is sound like, coach, go and dig a little deeper. It sounds like that you're telling me,
That's your interpretation. You ask me if there's misappropriation, and my response is straight. I have no knowledge of any such.
All right, no problem. Kyle Harris, one of the Reggae Boys supporters club members, who is responsible for the drums and stuff, that the band rather, that was in the National Stadium where the games were concerned. He's saying, did Donaldson have performance targets to meet as a part of his contract? And would those be a part of his contract not being extended? So I'm taking questions from the audience.
Yes, I understand. One of the things I spoke about earlier on in terms of transparency, even being a member of the technical committee, one does not always, as a matter of course, get access to the details of the contracts. The contract is drafted, and the main arrangement is between the general secretary in terms of that final contract. The details of performance targets as far as the team is concerned, I don't have them all. What I do know is that and this goes back prior to Lauren Donaldson, including Tupper Whitmore, for example, and a number of the other coaches, is that because quite often preparation of teams run late, contractual arrangements are very often finalized pretty late. What happens is that almost invariably your main performance target is to qualify for whatever it is that you're training for. That happens both at the youth level and at other levels. And in the case of football, and I speak generally now about performance targets as far as appraisals of workers in whatever form are concerned, it can be somewhat difficult in terms of football because one can look at outcomes in terms of matches, or one can look at the quality of football that is played, and it depends on where your team is. If you have a very weak team and you know, for example, that it is unlikely that your team is going to qualify, then your targets are usually determined by that. Okay, you want to see whether or not the team is playing a particular brand of football, what's the running level of the team, the level of fitness of the team, and even though you may have been beaten, what was attained. And of course, nowadays, because of the technology, you can get the effort that is being put out by the players, you can get the number of passes that they make, the distance they cover, and all of those things. The technical committee does not necessarily get into that in as great a detail as the coach, but it does at the end of the performance get something from the coach which says, okay, this is what took place, this is how the matches went, this is what the performance of the various individuals was considered, and that goes into making a determination of, how well did the team perform. And there are other things in terms of the whole managerial aspect of things. Were the players getting the things that they need? Were their travel arrangements good enough so that they could arrive in time and arrive comfortable, so that their preparations, their warm-up matches, their training, all of those things are taken into consideration. But they're not always set out in a document necessarily.
And that is a problem, Mr. Wilks.
Yes, it is.
That is a huge problem. I cannot be a part of a technical committee, and this is where we talk about transparency. I cannot be a part of a technical committee, and I have to vote when the decision comes for me to make where the coach's job is concerned, and I don't know what I'm actually voting for. I need to be independently, as a member of the committee, look on what the targets that were set out for the coach, or if they were placed in his contract, to see if he met those targets for me to vote. How am I going to vote when I don't know what is in his contractual agreement?
And I agree with you, sir.
So these are the things that are messing up the whole operation of the football. The name of the technical committee, obviously, no. To me, I am presuming that it is just a name. How are you going to vote and you don't know what you're voting for? That behooves me.
All right. Earlier on, you asked about whether or not I had spoken about the operations of the technical committee in terms of my comments real on, and I made it clear that there weren't any meetings, so that means anybody could say I was speaking out of turn. Now you are taking on the task of assessing the technical committee and its operations. I am not going to do that, but that I am in a position to do.
No, but I can do it
over time.
I can do it because that is a non-functional team. To be honest, non-functional, because I cannot vote for a coach to be fired or to retain his job when I don't know what I just in a group and messages sent. What do you think of the coach's performance? Oh, I think it was good. Oh, I think, where's the data? What sort of data are you using?
No, man, what you say is quite not only reasonable. Basically, that's the approach of a professional outfit.
It sounds to me like there's some sort of dictatorship that is taking place in the current administration of the Jamaica Football Federation. Am I wrong?
I would not suggest that you are wrong. I will say that there are persons who have that perception.
And do you
Apart
have
from
that
yourself.
perception? Do you have that perception?
I have seen indications that could be interpreted that way because of one, as I spoke of before, the lack of transparency. And there are times when one definitely would want to have more information in order to be able to take certain decisions. And you shouldn't assume that there are not discussions rising to the level of quarrels about this because it has taken place. And there are things that I have said that I will not get into. But yes, there are times when the decision making does not involve the kind of democracy that one would like. And very often, probably it can be passed off as having to do with the fact that there is last minutism, and so decisions have to be taken in a rush. And so one can understand if there is developed a perception of some kind of dictatorial attitude.
Okay. So there's another question in the comment section. Well, there are some interesting comments coming in the comment section, Mr. Wilks.
Wow.
And boy, the first one I'm gonna ask is, somebody asked you what position are you promised from the team that you're on with Mr. Anderson? I don't know if you have the privilege to, tell us that information now.
Well, I will say definitively that I didn't join the team because I was promised any position, and even up to as I speak, there is no promise of any particular position. The president, the aspiring president, has spoken publicly about a number of situations, and I have listened to them, and I'm sure nobody has as yet heard my name in terms of any particular position. In a previous interview, I was asked as to why, and I have said it very clearly. My involvement in the football goes way back, and I think that there is need, rather than just shouting from the deck, for some people to get inside there and see if they can help to change things. As I indicated before, I've served on this technical committee for a number of years, and I haven't been promised any positions. I haven't been given any trips. I haven't asked for any trips or anything like that. I have traveled quite a bit in my time, so trips are not going to have that effect on me. I worked at the Sports Development Foundation for 9.5 years, and I can tell you I never once traveled overseas on behalf of that institution.
So if this current administration offered you a trip to Trinidad for the game coming up with the Reggae Boys, that won't lure you to switch sides. All right.
My reputation speaks for itself where that is concerned.
Okay.
I'm way past the age where that could happen with me.
All right. Another one. Where are the executive summary and experts from the technical report from the failed U20 and U17 men's World Cup qualifiers the last time? That question has been asked by Oyini Blake. I asked Mr. Chung that question. We asked other people that question, and it's not forthcoming. Now that you are a person, ex-member of the committee, can you tell us if there was a report?
Yeah. There have been latenesses in reports, but almost invariably, reports are made, and reports sometimes are quite candid and very revealing in terms of weaknesses. Most of the times, particularly with the youth programs, lateness in terms of preparation is almost a constant factor, and that there lies one of the biggest challenges as far as the JFF youth programs are concerned. Almost every youth tournament that is to take place, the team is thrown together very late, and they go and they run up into teams that have been preparing for years in some instances, and as a result of that, they are not able to maximize outcomes. So that's a long-standing problem that should have been fixed long ago. So structurally, I mean, I know probably too much about the JFF, separate and apart from any technical committee. Just working around, just knowledge of so many of the people inside there, that there are so many things that are going wrong. You don't have this continuous program of development that is working to bring through new crops of people. So persons who played at a certain age level, you try to take forward as many of them as possible. So you're building from below upwards, all of that. And I mean, I'm speaking very generally now, going back way beyond this particular administration. It's been endemic to the Football Federation for too long. And that is one of the reasons why I said, okay, let me see if I can be of some kind of help.
So with the persons, well, it is clear in the public, the builder, which is Mr. Anderson, yourself, Carol Beckford, Mr. Thompson, and Dave Cameron. Those are the leading persons on the team. So you believe that these persons can actually make a huge change in the Jamaica football?
Well, a number of names. You've called us a few names. I mean, when I sit around that table, when they're meeting and all of that, we sometimes have as many as 15, if not more, persons there. So you have only called about 4 or 5 names. The basis of what I see around the table, there is a whole lot of administrative strength. And there are some who don't make it to the table because of just proximity and all of that, or they are there by Zoom or something like that. So, but the team overall has tremendous administrative strength. It has significant experience in terms of the operations, and that's probably where Raymond comes in now, because yes, he's been part of an administration that hasn't been the most efficient, but he has carried out some roles that he has done pretty well in terms of organizing matches at the stadium and carrying out the operations and that sort of thing. And when he's ready, I'm sure he'll speak for himself. I'm not here to really represent him.
Yeah,
But,
because he actually told the people that these teams are safe in the Premier League, and then he had to retract his statement as somebody who should be au fait with that sort of information. I think that could be a hole in his hat, But I mean, that probably is just one of the things that he has outstanding. But I have a question from Stan Cranky. There are many who are of the opinion that those of you who have been in the organization for many years are not fit to pursue any official position. What is your view on such perspective? And it's the same point I made about Mr. Anderson led team that you are a part of. How would you
well,
answer that one? Yeah.
well, it says many of you who have been in the organization. Being a member of the, by the way, being a member of the technical committee, I've seen people refer to me as a member of the board. It doesn't place you on the board.
Doesn't place you on the board.
You sit purely on the technical committee, and you're supposed to be assessing the programs that are, and by the way, these programs are developed by persons who are full-time workers. The technical director is Mr. Downswell. So he's the one responding. Then you have people who manage the teams, and you have the coaches at the various levels and that sort of thing. So, in terms of the management of the Jamaica Football Federation, my sitting on the technical committee doesn't give me any leeway as far as that is concerned. One can always say things in terms of advice, but there's absolutely no authority there, except when it comes to the assessment of your technical programs. that which was said, of course, it has some merit. And that is for the people, both those who are voting and those in the public space, because it's not only the people who have a vote, who have a say in the matter. And that is what I mean when I speak about transparency. An organization, any sporting body that is leading a team of people, it ought to, from time to time, report to the public on its stewardship, and it ought to subject itself to the criticisms that will come. And so that person has every right to make that comment. If you want, I am not here to make an assessment of myself. Basically, whatever I have done in terms of my work wherever, it is for persons to make a determination as to whether or not it is worthwhile. And I leave it there. I leave it for the people to make their judgment.
But is your team high on the idea of getting young, brilliant minds in the fore? Because I'm seeing, no disrespect to the elders, but I'm seeing a reoccurring decimal where it's like a cycle of these people that are who are you grooming, who are you developing among as young people to, if so be the case, these individuals are not around, then you have this person who will say, I learned from a man like Denzil Wilks. He taught me this, he taught me that. Have you or the team thought about, and this might be an idea that I'm giving you now, and I have to pay for that idea, Anyway, we don't need to get young people involved. That's the essence of what I'm really trying to say. Young people have to get involved. Listen, we give some brilliant ideas on these platforms.
Yes.
We help to revolutionize the whole football in Jamaica. And people say, we just come on YouTube and talk. But some ideas that comes from these forums, there are some of this said idea that these men are implementing now. So are you going to get young people on your team in positions that are important to impact this football? Because listen, we can't go back to the same thing, And the people will not have it, I tell you.
And they shouldn't. The fact is that particular subject has been discussed lustily. And by the way, I'm not authorized to speak on behalf of the campaign team, but I'm being as transparent as I can be.
Mm-hmm.
That has been discussed. And in fact, I remember just at the last meeting when we had coming on board a number of younger people. And I remember saying it is so happy to see the average age going down as a result of an influx of younger people who have joined the team. Now, please don't ask me to name them. That's not my
No,
remit.
man, I'm not asking that. Make sure people know about sport. Just that, may I say.
And we're not short of that in Jamaica. There are some pretty good young people now that are involved in a broad sense. But I'm responding to the comment by saying I agree, because I can only be seen as being on the way out, speaking personally. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, there has to be succession planning. And I will say, yes, that is being contemplated. Not just contemplated, but persons are actually part of that. First of all, there's this broad campaign team, and then the aspiring leader will have to make a determination as to the key persons that are going to be put in the critical positions to lead the various committees and that sort of thing. And one wants to ensure that there's a very good mix of age and young as well as women, because we don't want it to be just confined. And we're not talking about naming persons just because they're young or just because they're women, but persons that can serve and that can respond to the kind of questions and criticisms that are coming out of your listeners and your viewers.
All right. In terms of Dave Cameron on your team, and the said Mr. Anderson, who is VP, and he has been around since the late Captain Horace Burrell.
Yes, ma'am. That's true.
Some people see Mr. Anderson's leadership as failure, you know? And some people see Mr. Cameron's leadership of the cricket West Indies as failure as well. So what can you persuade the people, or this team can persuade the people that, hey, they are going to do better than a Dennis Strong. They are going to do better than a Mike Crickets?
Of course, I am not the one who would have been involved in the selection of all the persons. In fact, I was asked to come and join a team, and I, of course, have to make a decision. When I have a look around, I will say, well, basically, should I join this team, or should I not join this team? If I'm not to join the team, why? Is it because I may see weaknesses there? My attitude would be, there are things that I could see that I would not countenance, and so I wouldn't join because of that. But I have to weigh that up against, are you standing on the sidelines and simply criticizing, or are you willing to throw your hat into the ring, make a contribution, do some mentoring, as you have mentioned, of some younger persons? And so I have joined the fray. Truth be told, the aspiring leader, along with others, would be more responsible for selecting those. In fact, when he decided to contest for leadership, I was still at the Sports Development Foundation, and when he came to meet with me, I didn't know what he had come about. When he told me what he came about, my response to him was, "But why have you come to me? I don't have a vote." And then he went through from the perspective of whatever he saw in me in terms of my ability to contribute to that leadership team that he was building, and I accepted and came on the team. I say all of that just to put in perspective how I came to be here, or there, in terms of that team. The rest of the membership, I can't speak to with any authority, and I wouldn't be here to criticize. I hear what you've said, because you've called names of persons who have a history in terms of the persons that have seen their performance, and it is for that reason that persons are able to say, okay, prospects look good, prospects don't look good, and everybody has that right to make that assessment. And I'm sure Raymond knows that that is being watched. Now, that is being watched by two sets of people, you could put it that way. There is the general public, and then there is the voting persons. And that is not something to ignore. And I'm not making necessarily any point to say, well, those names you have called are the ones likely to attract the votes. But when one is contesting an electoral situation, one has to focus, yes, on what is the general view, but one also has to focus on who are the ones who are going to vote.
People that are going to vote on to make the best decision and the right decision, because
there you go.
The football public has been suffering because, again, maladministration, and whoever go back in the position, it's like JFF is not short of drama. Every time it's a new drama. No payment to the coach, no payment to the girls. Equipment leave back in Australia. Now them suspend Mr. Wilks, who's a part of the technical committee. What next? We just have wait with a bated breath, you know, to see what next is coming out, you know. Right now they are calling the JFF a Netflix series. Right now they need to link Netflix right now. Yeah. Keeping up with the JFF.
How many hours you have had me now, sir?
That's it. That's what happened when you come on the coach's desk. You know, you want to leave and you cannot leave. You understand? Because when we get straight to the point, and these people that love the football, they're going to ask you the questions that are out there that are pertinent. I know that you have to go.
And,
But
and by the way, let me just say that's what I want people to do. But there's a term they use: the people must hold those who get the privilege of authority must hold their feet to the fire. So, however sharp the criticisms are, from my own perspective, I am not going to cry about it because that is what is necessary once you put yourself up for public service. And public service is not only when you work for government, when you represent an organization like a JFF or a J3S or any other sporting body, you must be prepared to take the harshness of criticism and respond in a way that makes it clear that you take into consideration the essence of what is being said and not just how sharp the criticism may be, and learn as much as possible from what is being said.
all right, Mr. Wilks, we have the football squad to discuss. But
Yes.
before I go about the football squad, because I hear your team what they're about, so let me ask you this question. What are your thoughts about what Coach Algrimson is doing in terms of his selection of the team, personnels on the team?
Well, first of all, my approach as an administrator, and I've had to be involved in this from my days at Medhaven and all of that, is that while I will say to your coach, well, this is my opinion, I'm such and such a player and all that, but when it comes down to selection, I don't like to make the coach feel, especially if the coach reports to me like I'm in charge of the club, I don't like to make the coach feel that he needs to do a selection which is pleasing to me. I like to allow a coach to make his decisions. But and football is a peculiar kind of thing because you know that when the team fails, it's the coach's fault. And when the team wins, it's not always necessarily the coach that is given the praise. So Mr. Hallgrimson, I think, has done fairly well so far. I've watched him closely since he came in. I get the impression that it's a man who is making his own decisions, and I hope he continues that way. I'm not always happy with what I see on the field in terms of the football, and I mean, I have a set of friends who consider themselves gurus as far as the game is concerned, and they will say, well, there are too many long passes, and we're not keeping the ball, and we're not playing it out, and the transition game is not good enough, and all of that. But I leave that to the coach, and when we make an assessment at some point in time, you say, okay, good going, or a work in progress, or this is not going to work. Because I believe that an opportunity has to be given to build, and it's a very difficult situation nowadays when you only get your players together for a fairly short period of time because of how football is structured now. All the players are all over the world.
Are you into the recruiting of players from over the
Never,
world? Huh?
never. If
You
you
never?
mean if I've actually been involved?
No. If you are
Or if I
in support the whole act of recruiting players from all over the world.
Well, let me respond to that, and I'm responding individually. No, there is nothing wrong with getting players who are legitimately Jamaican and can represent. But one of the things that I do believe in is that any country that doesn't have a strong local program, even if you can't have something as strong as an English Premier League or a La Liga and that sort of thing, you must be continuously building your local talent and having it ready. But I am not going to be one who
who is
says,
going to build the local program?
well, you're
If there are clubs, Mr. Wilks, the club
well,
owners and directors and those persons, the coaches, they are supposed to build the clubs so that when the coach, whoever is the coach, sees a player playing in the league, they will say, "Oh,
yes,
that player is ready to come in the national team." So I don't
of
know. I
course.
don't know if I understand you clearly.
When I talk about building a local
Yes,
program,
yes.
no, the responsibility of the federation as far as building the local program is concerned is to ensure things like you have as strong as possible a league, and we need that badly as far as our women are concerned. We don't have a strong enough league. We're not going to have a league as strong as some places. Our population is not there, but we must facilitate that. And we have to also avoid watering down our football. In other words, we have to make a decision. Can Jamaica do well with 20 teams, for example, in the Premier League, given the kind of population and spread that we have? Or are you watering it down so each team has only about 2 good players? Or you want to reduce the number of teams that you have so you can get a greater concentration of quality players? These are some technical stuff that you can get into. But the federation must be working closely with the clubs. But not only that, the federation, in my view, even before the competitions, the World Cups and the Olympics and all those things come around, must at all times be scouting for and selecting quality players from the various competitions that are taking place. And every now and then you take them into camp. That's one of the reasons why the Horace Burrell Center was built. So you take them into camp for a couple of weekends with some of your best local people, even while your top team may be overseas, and you work with them, because you have, ideally, you must have a program, you must have a method of play that you are working to bring everybody to. And while you can't dictate to each club how they must play, there should be an ethos that is saying, when Jamaica plays, this is how Jamaica plays. Even within the realm of flexibility.
Okay, I hear you. Which position you used to play on the football field?
At school, I left school playing defense, and then I moved up the line, and I used to score a couple of goals. And I even in first division in Grenada, I scored a couple of goals for Coroners United, who played at that time.
But you're predominantly a defender.
No, predominantly a forward in my.
Forward.
Since I left school, I never went back to defense.
Okay.
I predominantly was a forward. Pace was my main thing. I was pretty fast on the ball. I wasn't as skillful as Dennis Hutchinson. He used to be the provider for me.
All right, I hear you. And I asked the question for a particular reason, but next time I'll tell you. Any final words you want to share before you leave?
Well, I thank you for the opportunity to speak. It's the first time being on one of these things. I mean, I've been into the media quite a bit, but in terms of this aspect of the media, I've never had anything like this. I encourage your listeners to not hesitate to be critical and to make proposals too, because those of us who find ourselves in positions of decision making should be willing to listen to everything. Distill it. We won't always be able to do everything that everybody wants us to do, but we must be humble enough to at least listen.
All right. We have somebody. I have 2 questions for you before you jump on.
All right.
Go ahead, Katara.
Good night, coaches. We'll take up our thing later. But good night, Mr. Wilks. I have 2 questions as the head of the Ultras here in Jamaica. I want to understand something you said earlier. Could you shed some light as to whether the technical committee, after each round of matches, 1, whether the technical committee meets, and number 2, whether the GPS data and the performance statistics are made available to all members for analysis? For example, how many miles a player or kilometers a player would have run per game, the speed, etc., etc. That is a part of modern football technical analysis. That's the first question.
The answer to that is overall, yes, that is the aim. To the extent to which it happens, my answer would be frankly not enough. We don't get enough opportunity to really go through these things in great detail because we are usually in such a rush. But in principle, the stage is set for that, and that's one of the things that needs to be set right going forward in terms of the technical committee, it should meet much more often than it meets, so that exactly what you're saying can take place. But it's not a question that doesn't happen or never happens, but I would say not by any means enough.
And the second relates to a burning issue, a vexed issue of mine. The recruitment and scouting structure that ought to be in place for a international team such as Jamaica, where we have talents who play and reside locally in Jamaica, but predominantly in the United States and in the United Kingdom, particularly England, where we have our most elite players coming from. Has the technical committee, or what has been a discussion or the assessment of the scout, a named scout, I won't call the name here, and the scouting and recruitment apparatus that exists to assess those players who are in the Premier League and Championship, etc.?
In my own view, I'll make a general comment, because I'm not going to get into the detail, but I'll make the general comment that whole thing is not structured enough. For example, you may very well know more than I as to who might be the scout and that sort of thing. So from the definition of technical committee, there are many things, and this is one of the things that I will certainly advise the incoming aspirants, that they have to take a different approach and become much more detailed and much more organized. Because I've sat on the leadership of two different persons in terms of technical committee. I sat on it when Everton Tomlinson was there, and now when Everton Tomlinson was the chairman, in other words, and now that there is Mr. Speed. But in none of these instances, I think the structure has allowed for the kind of attention to detail of which you speak. That's a weakness that I think exists, yes.
Just as a follow-on, coach, because I have to be clear. So are you saying, or can you confirm that the technical committee at its meetings, does it or does it not receive reports from the gentleman in England? Let me go specifically, who has been touted and named as the scout in the United Kingdom? Does it receive reports on the talents that are there?
On occasion, yes. And that's why I say there's a weakness, because it's not as if there's a structured situation that invariably this comes. But I wouldn't by any means suggest that reports have not come. So you see, you have a problem of what you can call intermittent. So, and that's not only in terms of scout or whatever. Meetings, regular meetings, more often, and that's another thing that I would want to suggest. The technical committee, not just in terms of who is placed on it, but how it is operated, will need to change so that it meets on a more regular basis. And I can tell you that a number of persons on the committee from time to time raises the issue. Why don't we meet more often? Why don't we meet after every such interval? And sometimes, questions as, where is this report? Where is that report? So in answer to what you're saying, I'm saying reports come from time to time, but it is not consistent enough. So you can say invariably this report comes, invariably there is this analysis. The analyses are not good enough because there is not always the data provided. So I'm saying there are weaknesses there that needs to be strengthened significantly.
All right, Sir Wilks, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Right.
Thank you for your responses, sir.
You're welcome.
If there's a need to get you back on the show, we certainly know where to find you. And thanks again for the prompt response to be on the show. Just to clarify the whole situation of you not being a part of the technical committee, and there was no meeting. to discuss the whole Donaldson situation before his contract and was not renewed, so to speak. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too, sir.
And we'll
Appreciate it.
definitely
I have to
talk
find a
again.
different place to hide now. All right, take care.
Right,
Man would say, run for cover, save your mama.
Crank, you are gone.
This is the you coach interviewing another person from the administration.
Boy, it don't make no sense, brother. It don't make no sense.
And walking away saying we're in trouble as a country when it comes to our football because
Trouble.
we have people who have a certain level of eloquence. They communicate well. They appear to be what you may desire in the position. And then you look at the accomplishments, you look at the problems, you look at the situation and challenges, and you walk away saying they're not the solution. And then you look around, you don't see any solution. So it's a dire straight situation where you're darn if you do and darn if you don't. It's not a good look.
But my good friend, Stan, I thought you'd be more alarmed because I am alarmed at what I've heard. Because
I am not alarmed because
let me say because whenever we have heard Mr. Speed on these platforms and elsewhere, we get a sense of a smooth running professional, subcommittee of a board that meets at approved intervals. I take note of word time to time. Yeah, sometimes we have fixed FIFA windows. We have youth and men's and women and girls qualifying tournaments. So the meetings at best should be before and after. Before, in time to plan and set the targets, and for a committee to be operating, and I'm going to call it as it is, raw. And the next time I'm going to program Mr. Speed, I'm going to call it raw. For you to meet and have a performance appraisal and don't have the contract and the terms and conditions and what was agreed.
And the same man don't know nothing about going. I want that thing.
Go ahead, Stan. I want that.
I'm flabbergasted. I'm flabbergasted at Hector. I mean, Hector go on next time, like a 21-year-old. I'm not up there in that age and have experience to realize that there is form over substance, and the substance is reflected in performance. And with all the problems that JFF encountered at all levels, as it relates to players, organization, issues, problems, situations, for all we have seen, and you're saying you think somebody coming espousing some perspective about how they operate is reflective of reality? Come on, Cataract. The proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. You can see what is transpiring in front of your face, and it's all about process and outcome. And we know the process don't work, and that's why you get poor outcome.
Yes, but I can't take away anything from what you said, right? Because we're not going to just argue and disagree for arguing's sake. I cannot disagree with anything you're saying. I'm saying I was not aware that this is how bad it was. Look, Denzil Wilks is somebody in my days as a civil servant, we had encounters with the Prime Minister's Youth Awards, etc., because sport was one of the categories. That's how come I had an interaction with him. Don't know him personally, but look here, Mr. Wilks basically say Mr. Wilks don't know the name of the scout. We who did a football and around the thing, we have spoken about this gentleman who is in the United Kingdom, right? And the technical, senior member of the technical committee doesn't know the name, and from time to time, that irks me.
We know this
they don't
whole
have
thing
the performance data from the I mean, when the thing them finish, right? I'm talking the senior men's and senior women's. You're not supposed to ask a man what is the score. You're supposed to say, okay, why was the team only running 10 kilometers and they're supposed to be running 15 at least? Those are the technical things that you discuss. I heard a narrative that Mr. Donaldson was asked what is the score of the Canada game. before his contract was not renewed. Not renewed, dismissed, fired. Only thing it means is about the payment due at this time. But basically, he has been relieved of his job since people want to get with pretty words, etc. But Stan, this is not at every level. There's no information and data on which you can do technical analysis.
So,
But go
for
ahead,
those
brother.
those who love the football, I hate to tell you, it's not getting any better. So at least from an administration standpoint. So we brought in a professional coach who realized that the running of the tournaments that he's involved in and how the perception is and management of media, he brought in two temporary persons. He brought in Simon and Manningsman, right? And you hear how better the media construct is working, and you don't hear a lot of growls from the players about administratively how things go on the trips, right? Which suggests he brought in two people who must be doing something decent, or you get feedback through different avenues about how things are working or not working. You don't have that in the JFF administration. So Coach mentioned the concept or the idea of bringing in younger people. I don't think it's a youth issue, but young is good because you need to have change management and succession planning and groom people to assume responsibilities when you move on. And all I hear from the JFF is more about us being in certain positions, which have certain acclaim to those positions, and give me certain notoriety, give me certain position in the Jamaican Football Community Society. It seems to be about the individual versus the country and patriotism and doing the right thing for the country, which would mean you sometimes have to sacrifice yourself for the larger good, which is not happening. So I'm not surprised about any of these things that's transpiring. And frankly, given who is running for office that I've heard so far, because I've heard of any candidate with one where people are rallying behind, it's not getting any better. My question to be with the individual we're just on, which is, what is the vision, strategy, plans, accomplishment of Raymond, why you're part of his camp now to pursue the position? Or is it because he's contrary to who is there and you want to be on the other side? What is it so compelling about this individual and what he has done to show he has the capability to move the program forward, why you're supporting him and why you're part of his team? Because I haven't heard that.
So I have to be fair, Stan. What I did here is not a perfect answer, but I heard Mr. Wilks saying that there are about 13, 14, or 15 persons who Mr. Anderson seemed to have brought together, who have some competence in sports administration. I would love for
like who? Like Cameron, who run wrestling in
I'd
cricket?
like that team
Those
to
are
be
the examples we're
presented.
talking about?
He gave
In Cataract?
Coach gave four
Like we have
names.
lost
The
Cataract,
gentleman,
or I'm the
no,
one
we haven't
lost.
lost
Have we lost
Cataract.
Cataract?
No, I'm answering, but you're speaking, and I don't speak
I'm not
when
hearing
others
Coach. Are
speak.
you hearing him? Or are you not hearing me? I'm
We
not
are
hearing
here
him. So
cranky
something's
him
wrong
at top.
with my system.
Fine. I'm saying,
No,
Coach, you mentioned 40 names. I would love at some point in time to understand
Let me
who are
come back,
these
Coach.
other.
Something's wrong with my system for yours.
Okay. Who are these other? Is your system provided by the technical committee?
God, what you must say about top about battery, you know.
So, Coach, I'm saying, and there's somebody else on the program, so we have to pass the
Yeah,
mic
Siobhan. Welcome, Siobhan.
as things here. But I'm saying that I heard him expose that there are 13 or 14 persons who are at various levels in sports administration who are both inside the JFF and outside. I also heard him say he's not a part of the JFF. And I've heard Mr. Speed make the same comment that as the technical committee, you're not a part of the administration. You're serving on a committee that advises the board, right? So we have to be careful because we don't want a situation where people who have some. It would be like saying Siobhan and military do the streaming for the press conference. They are a part of the JFF, you know. But it is interesting. I want to see what the alternative is. Clearly, what is there is broken, and it's more broken than I realize. I'm going to tell you. I swear down as the British should say. I swear down that I thought man was looking at okay, the teams. This is percentage of the long ball, and this is how much distance is covered by a player. This is his reaction time. What is it? What is the measure on that vest? The number of sprints that they make, the speed, the distance covered over the game in each half. Whether you fall off in the second half or you're consistent throughout the game. I thought those were the analysis that were happening. What are they meeting and doing? But then I heard, and I don't know if you heard that, coach, it's basically a WhatsApp group.
Yeah. All right, Chevron. The team drop. Hector back. New Anderson. And no whisper. Your thoughts?
All right. So good night, everybody. Night, coach. Night,
Yeah, man, good
night,
night.
Cranky. Been a while.
Hold on a minute there, Chevron. Hold on a minute there. Before you go any further again. People, those persons who are having problems with the ads in the video, I can only apologize. It's a new thing from YouTube. It's a new thing from YouTube. So I apologize.
It's about the money for YouTube. It's all about the money.
Yeah, it's the money for YouTube. Them put in them ads when them want to put it in. Yeah, it's a new thrust for them develop. Them now we put in the ads again and them do it. You understand? So sorry about that. The bag of ads them. I didn't know that it was actually happening until me hear somebody said in the comment section. I actually have my phone a look and that I go on for you.
But coach, your ball for algorithm, so you get algorithm. Ads no go on DBDB show.
No man, everybody will have YouTube, Qatar.
Yeah, but the number of ads and the time that the ads, and they have, I think they're selling a YouTube premium. But Siobhan, you didn't get to ask a question.
Yeah. Go on, Siobhan.
Yeah. Night again, everybody. So honestly, I am happy about the inclusion of Hector. Someone that I believe that for the time that he has been out of the team, I think he should have been back for some time now. I think he brought some value to the team. So I am actually quite happy about his inclusion. The whisper inclusion, or
exclusion.
the exclusion, was a surprise until I heard some stuff after. But it's really, I was really looking forward to seeing him play.
What are those stuff?
I don't think I'm privy to say that information. I don't know if I'd rather other person say it, but it's just kind of tired of the drama behind this Jamaican team in general. It's just unfortunate. But I'm happy with the squad. When I heard the news of Ethan not being there, it was a bit of a bitter taste, to be honest, because I was really hoping that the partnership between him and Damian could continue so that they could continue working together. The Kira Anderson inclusion, I'm happy that he was included as well. But I'm actually happy with the squad. I think the squad should be enough to get us 6 points in this window, and hopefully there are no more surprises leading up to the games.
We will get surprises.
I'm hoping, coach. I'm just.
But I'm telling you, look out for the surprises.
Yeah. I mean, anything is possible, and we know anything can happen. But we still have to keep hopeful. That's all we can do at this point. But again, I am happy with the squad that was selected. I'm not going to say it's the best, but it's definitely not the worst.
Yeah, man. Qatar.
Coach, I have a serious question. And Siobhan is here. I heard the name Mikel Antonio. Mikel Antonio didn't travel on West Ham's Europa League away fixture. And from what I'm reading, he is touch and go, a game time decision as to whether he would be included in the squad tomorrow or whether he would participate in the game. So I am expecting to hear a bombshell that Mikel Antonio is not coming, which is why I asked the question about the non-inclusion of Trevante Stewart. I just wanted to put that there before I gave my assessment. If you want, I can just say the assessment. I think it's as best a squad as we could pull together. The injuries really have come home to really haunt us, and it gives a clear indication of the need why we have to have depth in the squad, so that we can simply just move pieces in when some pieces have to move out. And that's why I'm against a quota system. I'm against the xenophobia, right? Local and overseas, we need to have elite players who are there on call. I wanted to ask the question, but I mean, the non-inclusion of Jamal Lowe, but I didn't want to stir up a hornet's nest.
But
Jamal,
in your coach answer a question, say if you're gonna ask about anybody else.
yes, that's why I didn't. That's why I did not. And I respected what the coach said, and I said to the coach, "God, you know, we speak privately in the open. Jamal did it, so I'm gonna have to hide and talk. Yeah, I'm always cool at the start of a thing, but understand that if the results don't go our way and you tell me this is the best squad that you wanted, then if we get 0 points on 2 games, I'm gonna beat you bad. So there's a double-edged sword, you know, right? If you said, ask me nothing, if it not he hasn't said that. Basically, at that time I say, the question me who no in a squad. I pick who I want to pick. So therefore you have to live by those results, right? And I think the coach also understands that we have to ask the hard questions. But the absence of Jamal Lowe is shocking. Jamal Lowe scored last weekend, and I think he scored again in the midweek game. So Swansea is in the, if I'm not certain, I don't want to speak out of turn. Swansea is in the playoff picture of the championship. I think Leeds is at number 6. I think Swansea is in and around there. Probably has the same number of points as Leeds, because I think about 3 teams have those points. We are in there by goal difference. So I don't know how a senior player, experienced player, is not called up. He wasn't called up the last time. We called up Romario Williams, who is not an experienced striker or attacker with the Reggae Boys. So that would have been a big miss and a big ask. And I look to see if whether Jamal Lowe can be called up now, because it would not certainly be the 2 weeks that you would need if Mikel Antonio is not able to make it on this trip. But overall, the re-inclusion of Hector, I thought he was dealt with unfairly 2 years ago, following the altercations with the former right back of the Reggae Boys.
Allegedly, just say allegedly.
No alleged. I was there. So nobody not even alleged. We were there.
Oh, I'm all right.
Cronky and I were there at the stadium in Orlando. We know what we saw on the sidelines. Somebody have to tell me allegedly. The statements in the dressing room are allegedly, right? But what we saw, we know what we saw on the sidelines. So I think it's good for Hector to be back, and for the coach to have a look at him and determine whether he fits into his system and plans. It's good that he comes in along with Kira Anderson, because they are playing together, and so players who have some chemistry would be a plus, even for young Kira to have some familiarity. And I just end by saying, John Wall, don't try that again, in the dub for dub. I just threw at the first row where you can't, the sound will drop out. But
so, man,
Kira Anderson was the first of the young players who got a Jamaican passport. So it is a long time coming, because others have come after him and have gotten a look before him, and he is a player who is in the position that we say we have the biggest need outside of a right back. So it was inexplicable. I do hope that he stays injury free this weekend and he can come and give a good account of himself. I want to see what he looks like vis-a-vis Brandon Cover, who is another box-to-box combative midfielder, right? And it'll be good to see. I didn't hear the name John Russell go.
No, it wasn't included.
But Qatar, he wasn't there the last window, so why you got something there now? You
No,
glad for Kerai and this to come in, but
hold on, bro.
let me finish that now.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
You're asking about John Russell, right? And I'm saying that you wanted Kerai Anderson for a long time coming, according to you, which him and just 18 as the other coach said. I think that was funny. I laughed
That
and I
was fun.
cried. Yeah,
The
man.
entire room laughed with one answer
Cuba trying to be respectful of them. Because
No,
because
but
that's done his career right this way.
you could have go around that, right?
You
You
How
couldn't
could
you
have
could
go
have
cataract.
around
go on?
that.
I know what
Cataract. It
going man.
wasn't cataract.
Him
You
know
can't
what
go around
going.
that. My
He
point is
admit
that Cataract, why
Yeah,
you
but
call for John Russell, who
no, I'm
wasn't
not
a part
calling
of the
for.
last window?
I'm not calling for it. That's what I'm saying. You're misunderstanding what
So
I'm
why you
saying.
ask
The
about him? You
coach
never hear.
went through and spoke about the core of his squad who are not included in this window. I
Mhm.
said no explanation was given for John Russell.
There wasn't any
John Russell was
explanation
part
given.
of the core of the Gold Cup squad.
So it's same thing me I say again, Cataract. No explanation was asked or given for the last window. Why you gonna ask it? No one him say no give no explanation.
No explanation was asked the last time, and we were told that he wanted to look at other players.
I see him thing this window.
Oh, okay. Is a look see. But that's not what came this time. This time he says we need to get the points are valuable so that we end up in the quarterfinals with playing the lowest possible team. That's what he said. So this was not a look and see window.
It's a
So
winner. It's a win it all window.
yes, he wants to finish atop the group so that we can face either Canada or Costa Rica, who are ranked lower rather than the United States or Mexico. And I think that's smart, if you ask me.
Cranky.
And he wants us to move on to, he said it's important for us to go to Copa
The
America so
Copa.
he can have a month long with the players.
So the more football they play together, it's better for the team. They gel, they understand his philosophy, they play style of play and all of these things. So the trajectory that he wants the team to be on, it's a good look. It is a good look. Cranky, your thoughts on the team?
I'm disappointed. I heard so many names of Nelson and Greenwood and Mitchell and KWP and all that, and I see none of them come into the squad. Same old retreads. Sorry, not to be denigrating anybody, but same team, few names here and there, but similar squad. And the
Yeah, but him say I
midfield,
try keep a core.
well, what I just mentioned is quality. I like to keep core with quality. And I don't think the core is at the quality we wanted. So think about it this way. Look at the center of your defense. We have Bernard and Lowe, two players who lack composure. Last game, Lowe's lack of composure cost us. So no pin-up. We don't have no composure in the center of the park. And that's exacerbated by the lack of the quality of midfield that we're looking for. So I'm not sure people could be totally happy. You have to work with the hand you're dealt. So if these are the players available, then yeah, it's a fair squad, but we need to improve the quality. For most situations, you're only as good as the quality that is bestowed upon you or that you have available at your disposal. And the quality needs to improve. We don't have competition for places in certain positions. And any team you need a competition for places in every single spot on your team. Now, if you have quality in two positions, one is just a little bit better than the other, and that one will play, at least you know you have very competent backup. Are you Cataract extolling the virtues of Jamal Lowe? Not impressed. Watch Jamal Lowe quite a bit. Play for us. Don't watch him as much where he plays currently today. I'm not impressed. I think FIFA should get an opportunity to start up front if Antonio doesn't turn up. Because Nicholas has been off form for a while for the national team. He was on form for the Gold Cup. He's on form in the last few games that he played. Last game he started, he's on off form. So Cephas has been scoring goals, playing in a decent league. So give him a chance to play up front. He has speed, he has skill, and he may be able to make a difference. So hope the coach pick a team to give him the best chance to win versus picking a team where we're just based on names and past performances and not current performances. but I can't say I'm jumping for joy with the squad that I see. 'Cause I think there's room for improvement. I'm curious to see the new player that came in from Charlton because I've heard a bit about him. He's very, very young. It's a different region to play football. It's always a time to, you don't get time to acclimate as well as you'd like to, given the nature of the competition. These are not friendlies. Time to, get yourself acclimated and build up yourself within the team and the squad and the game. These are competitive games with ultimate objective and positive outcomes required. So not sure that we're giving ourselves the best chance to win. We have no creativity in the midfield. Zero. And that hasn't changed. I'm glad to see Hector back. I was one of Hector's bashers way back when. I've watched Hector play up close and personal. I think he has improved, at least in my eyes, the times I've seen him last when he played for the national team. I think he was unfairly just dealt with in Orlando, frankly, when he was playing midfield with Speedy. I thought he played better than the time he was allotted. So I hope he comes in and play well. I'm wondering where position he's in. I see him listed as a defender. Question is, will he play in midfield? Because
Yeah, I think they called him to replace Ethan.
yeah, which that's interesting. At least he'll have more composure than Bernard. Because Bernard is very rush. He's very rush actually. So yeah, we'll see what happens, coach. But people think it's going to be just get the 6 points because it's easy. We didn't beat Haiti at home, so I'm not sure how that works. We played them away from home. I don't know where we playing them. Is it in Haiti or some other neutral location?
In Trinidad.
Okay. So that may
Yeah, the
help us.
game's been
Actually.
played in Trinidad.
So, coach,
That may help us.
here comes Stan Cranky with a bag of Winagosa. Stan Cranky, are you aware that for this season, Jamal Lowe has had 5 appearances for Swansea, scored 3 goals and 1 assist?
Okay, I'll stop you there,
And the
Ketterak. I'm gonna
only,
stop you
the
there.
only, the only
Ketterak?
game, the
No, wait, hold
only
on. I'm gonna stop
game.
you there.
Oh, hold on.
Ketterak, you made
Let me just finish. Let me just finish.
No,
The
I'm not making
only
you finish
game that he has
because
not
you made
scored
an
in is the game
inappropriate
he has not
statement.
started.
That's what
Go
I'm
ahead,
talking
sir.
about. You
Go
said I
ahead,
come
sir.
back on nothing. Wait, you said back on nothing. What did I say?
Baga
What I
Winagosa.
just said? What did I say
You
about the
said
player?
you said you want players who are picked on current form and not name and past achievements. That's what you
What did I
said.
say specifically about Jamal Lowe?
You're not impressed.
I said I've watched him this season enough to make an informed decision, but I'm not impressed when he plays for the national team. Ever.
Are you
Jamal Lowe is
impressed
going to
with
play with Jamaica
Shaman
national team, and I
Nicholson?
walk away saying, you know what? This kid has had an exceptional game. We see Gray come in, play the entire Gold Cup, was on the team of the tournament. Jamal Lowe hasn't impressed me. Doesn't play any defense, doesn't run back, and is not
What?
detrimental to the defense when he plays up
No,
front.
Ketterak. It's his personal opinion. You can't.
Yes, no, I know. I'm just
When
shocked.
has Jamal Lowe been outstanding for the national team,
But he
Ketterak?
can challenge his opinion too, Trevor.
Yeah, he
Tell me
can
a game he
challenge
was
it, but I don't.
outstanding in Ketterak. Where's he outstanding for
In
the
his
national
very
team?
first game, when we were being battered by the United States with our push together side, he scored on his debut. He has been a victim of
Wait.
not being.
No. Back
Hold
up,
on, let me finish,
Ketterak.
sir. You asked a
Okay,
question and I'm answering you.
go ahead. You don't make no
And
sense.
maybe that make no sense. He was
You're
one
not.
of the two. He was one of the 2 better players on the pitch that day, and he was not and has never been given a run in the team that others have to allow him to settle in and become the goal scorer that he is in the championship, right? Though he didn't transition to the EPL, he couldn't make the Bournemouth team, and he's now gone back to the championship, at which he's a championship attacker. So I'm not sure. Whenever he has scored, he has never been allowed to start the next game. He's never been a starter for Jamaica very many times, but he has scored certainly more goals than Romario Williams.
You're talking a
Romario
bunch
scored
of
in the
nonsense.
last few games,
You're talking a bag of
For
crap. That's
Jamaica?
what you're
For
doing. So,
Jamaica?
Ketterak, here's the
No.
problem with your comments,
Well, for
Ketterak.
Jamaica, I'm talking. Go
No,
ahead, Stan.
Ketterak. Because a player scored doesn't mean he had a good game. I watched the game. The US destroyed us in that game. Pinnock was all over the place. In fact, Pinnock looked poor in that game. We were run all over the field. Lowe didn't do much except put a ball in the net, but it really didn't matter. I don't know what you're talking about. He didn't have a good game in that game. He barely ever touched the ball.
So I get confused when you're confusing scoring with you having a good game. They're not one and the same in a cataract. He didn't play a good game because he barely touched the ball in that game. So when you make this comment about what am I talking about, and I'm talking a bunch of nonsense, go back and revisit his games he's played for the national team and walk me through where he's played a complete game. You walk away saying, you know what? Like we see with Demari Gray. Yes, he has done well. He played well through the game. He moved the ball well. He beat his man. He made passes. He split the defense with a pass. He covered defensively his left back. I can't recall one game Jamalo played where I walked away impressed. And
No
maybe
one in
people
their
in the
right mind
conversation
could
can
say that
inform me.
Jamal Lowe is an equivalent to Damari Gray. They would need their head examined, and so
We don't
that
want
could not
anybody
be
below
the
Jamari Gray
not
talent
be
coming into
the
the national team. No. We're looking for better talent. We're not looking for people who just have so-so talent or okay talent. We want quality players who can compete at the global level, to compete with the US, to compete with Canada, who have players playing in the Premier League and playing in the French League. That's what we're looking for. We're not looking for
Jesus.
subpar talent. That's why I come.
At this point, you're looking for somebody who has a Jamaican passport who can come into the team. That's what I'm saying.
Because Reese and others don't have the passport.
Passport. That's what the coach said today. He said there's no update.
Yeah, Jamal Lowe to me is not the answer. Sorry. Not
Okay. Okay.
We have to look. The coach is not a bad recruiter. I've always said he's a good recruiter from his strengths. So hopefully he can push to get those players we're pursuing to be part of the national program.
I hope so too.
Because he won't be helped by the administration to pursue those players. He got to do it on his own.
I agree with you.
So look, coach, the squad is what the squad is. Our
But
hope now is
who would you want to have seen in the squad? You said you're not
no. I told the
happy.
players I thought were coming
The
and
man say
they
Reese
don't have their
Nelson,
documents.
But oh Lord. Okay.
So what happened to Ravel and Hutchinson? They're no longer being considered.
Ravel on
Hutchinson,
the team.
Ravel down the team.
Ravel don't
And
need no team to
Hutchinson
play for Jamaica. Ravel better than all the midfielder them combined. He don't need no team.
and the coach said that he's been very clear and consistent that if you're not playing for your team, or if you don't have a
No, he's
team,
not clear and consistent. He's like any other coach talk nonsense. He played Whisper, so don't give him that nonsense.
that's what he said. That's the reason he gave for not
So
including
he's not telling
Whisper.
the truth. He's lying like Arteta lies. He lies just like all of them are like
Okay.
Southgate lies, like Arteta lies. All these coaches just talk out of two sides of their mouth. They're hypocrites. I'm sorry, but if Whisper plays and Whisper doesn't have a team, then how can you say Rabbit doesn't have a team so he can't play, but you don't
He,
select players who don't have a
he
team?
just
What kind
said
of nonsense is that? Why we
that
think we're all
Whisper has
idiots?
not been playing or training since the last time. And when they checked on him, he's now even more rusty than he was
So
then.
why did he pick up the 2 times before? What team was he playing for? Why he was in the squad? The Gold Cup squad and the more recent squad. What team was he playing for Cataract? Because you see, I don't
He
follow these
had
things rightly.
at that time
Hold
he had
on,
been on trials at Newcastle.
No,
hold
what
on,
What are
team
you
was he
Cataract,
talking
playing?
Cataract.
about though,
Cataract.
Dan?
Hold
Cataract.
on, hold on,
What
hold
team
on,
was he
hold on,
playing
Concrete.
for?
Hold on, Concrete. Cataract, do you believe that's the reason why he's not in the team?
If the court says that, I don't have any reason to disbelieve, and
No, I'm
it
just
seems very
asking you,
reasonable.
Cataract. I'm just asking you, Cataract. Do you believe that is the
The
reason
court
why
says
he's
so. I am okay with that. I would have
all
loved
right
to see
then
him in the
cool.
team, but I take that.
So
If we're
Cataract, you
talking,
still have to answer my question, Cataract. What
yes,
team was
sir.
he playing for? Anybody can go on trials. Oh, you
He,
know,
he
Ravel's
was
not on
he,
trials.
the man said he was training, and he's not training or active since the last window.
Just so that he's not
You
playing
guys sound like people
professional.
listen,
He's not
people like
playing.
Jamaican
He's not
politicians
He
who
playing
tell
never
you
play
don't say
professionally.
professionally.
nonsense so you buy
And he
it.
says when
Nonsense.
he has looked at he can't train. He's signed to Chelsea, so he can't go and
But
train over half of you.
Cataract. We have to be fair.
Go on, coach.
Cataract. We have to be fair, man. The coach was not consistent in that department. I think some pressure came, and he has to revert to that. He said it has to be consistent. So if he played him before and him never play, me not think him should have dropped him now because of that said reason.
All right, boss.
If you have criteria selection criteria you use, he has to be consistent.
So
Can't be making
him dropping
exceptions
him,
and then
no, is not consistent.
But you can
yeah, I mean,
understand about the exceptions. And you asked about Omari Hutchinson, and he answered, and he was very clear. Omari has asked for time before he commits to
No,
Jamaica's senior
remember,
men team.
Cataract, remember that it wasn't the question that I had asked, it wasn't in the press conference, it was after the press conference had finished.
Oh,
So a
okay.
lot of persons wouldn't have heard it. Well, I posted the video on MG's channel when I asked him the questions, and persons want to see, they can go watch it after. But yeah, he did. I did ask him the question about Amari because nobody had asked it during the press conference, but I just asked it for
look, we're not
clarification.
saying Amari is a solution. We're asking a question about players who play for the national team who have certain capabilities who may help the team. At the end of the day, I support Whisper as a potential player to play for Jamaica. What I'm talking about is consistency of process and consistency of selection criteria utilized that then allow a player to be in the team or deny a player. And if you're going to tell me that you select Whisper because he's going on trials, when you select Rabbit because of a team, that's nonsense. Just saying, you know what, he doesn't fit into my plans. And we can live with that. Don't give us some bogus
But
answer
he
and we should buy
also,
into it.
but you don't listen. He also said that Whisper will be a Jamaican senior men's international for the next 15 years. And therefore, it's incumbent on him to manage his entry into the ranks of the senior men's national team. John Wall went further and said the need for an under 20 squad to be named and kept together and given friendly matches to play is that so that players like Whisper, who may get a look in the senior men's team, would have more 90 minutes to play for the under 21s, under 20s, right? Because they would be the big dogs basically in the age group team. And he bemoaned the lack of competitive football for the under 20s. He said that we have been using a tournament model. So when a tournament comes up, we pick a side and try to qualify, right?
So Cataract,
Cataract.
Coach, can I
Yes.
say something, Coach?
Cataract,
Let
hold
me
on.
respond to him. Let me respond to him, Coach.
No, may I make you respond, Cranky. But what may I say? You see, if the issue is not what the coach said, he could find a nicer way to say it than what he said today. Because you see what he said today is not showing any sort of consistency. Because you used him before and you're not using him now, because whatever reason. But you can't say because you want to be consistent. That is not showing consistency. Go ahead, Cranky.
Cataract likes to conflate things and he talks so long you even forget what you want to talk about. It's really interesting to hear him argue and debate. My position was about consistent criteria. You guys select players. He's talking about under 20 and for the future, and that's not the issue, Ketara. If you're saying I select players based on them having a team, I would expect every player in the squad to be in a team. Because that's the criteria. That's the rest that you say you're not selecting Ravel, right? Because people have been asking for Ravel. But you select Whisper because he's the future, but he doesn't have a team. It makes no sense to a logical person. It may make sense to you, doesn't make sense to me. And therefore, what I said, and coaches do this all the time. You know, he's not the only coach that does this. They do this because they don't have good answers as to why they do certain things, because they have their favorite, or some players don't fit their system, but the crowd and the fans want them. They come up with this cockamamie story as to why they're not selecting players. Just be transparent. We are grown-ups. We can buy into it. We can say, you know what? Okay, it's your decision to make. You're the one going to be judged at the end of the season about performance. So you can select who you want to select. But don't give us this cockamamie story about why you exclude a player versus another, which makes no rational sense. So, look, we hope the team does well. The squad's already selected. It's not going to change. And I'll say this again, I still don't see any creativity in the midfield. None. And that's what's lacking to get the ball. We have the players up front who can do damage, and we can't get them the ball. And the coach doesn't realize he needs players with the skill set to get the ball to the front players. It's like what the Jamaica Women's team playing. And Bunny Shaw is up front, our best player, and we can't get her the ball. And the coach doesn't realize he has to change something to try to get her the ball. It's amazing to watch this and just shaking your head saying, Can these people see this? You might as well go play Bunny on the defense if you want to touch the ball, because that's the only way she can touch it. I'll play midfield. And we're playing her up front in center forward position. She barely touches it, and we still do the same thing, and we can't get our best player on the ball to make a difference. And that rationale to me is mind-boggling. So we'll see what happens.
So, coach, I'm glad that I'm back in a position where I don't have to agree with the madness of Cranky. So here's the thing. Who is the creative player that you are determining that we need? Who is the attacking midfielder that you're pointing to? You just simply babbling on about the problem. Who is the solution? What is the solution?
I said Ravel is a creative midfielder.
Okay.
You don't listen well. What you don't do as a person is listen. You don't ever listen. You speak
one
a
of
lot.
one of the greatest learning tool that
No, he speaks a lot, but he doesn't listen. So he keeps talking, and when you learn to listen, you'd have heard what I said. And we've been arguing about Ravel versus Whisper, what is on the team, and you still haven't heard that. So now you're trying to listen because you're not talking, because I don't see the thing jumping. I said Ravel would have been the creative midfielder that we're missing. Your response?
So you know are a man that don't listen, because the coach has said that a player who is not in their club setup is not going to be selected. So listening is fundamental for you, sir. I know the mute button, so I have the button muted and listen to you. You know. So listening goes both ways. So you have to listen to the coach. The coach said,
I heard the coach, but Ketterak, here's what I'm
yes,
confused
sir.
about your argument. Ketterak, you debated in school, Ketterak? Did you ever debate? Or you just came last in debating 24/7 because you never
Are
have
you
a
forgetting the
consistent
great
argument?
debate? I debated you into a pulp. Okay, so let's not go there.
No, Ketterak, here's the problem,
You have
Ketterak.
no names to
I
offer
just
that fit
said
the coach's
Ravel.
criteria,
No,
right?
but
At least
Ketterak,
brain
listen.
drain with his Tyreek McGee. Tyreek McGee is actually playing, right? At least brain drain with his
No,
Tyreek
not
McGee.
Tyreek
McGee is
Mitchell.
actually
Nobody
playing.
talking about Tyreek McGee. We talking about Tyreek
Tyreek
Mitchell. Oh, brain train
McGee.
Tyreek. No, Tyreek is in USL. We're not talking about Tyreek.
I'm just saying, and the Tyreek Mitchell issue did come up today, and it's clear that the coach has his job to do. And it is clear that other people have to keep abreast of what is happening, because it seemed like a bombshell in the room that no one saw the post that was taken down by Tyreek McGee or listened to his club statement about his non-inclusion in England. And the fact that he has other options, we should have been on the phone to him this morning. The management
If
team,
he's using us
the
against England
technical
squad, we should be on the
people
phone
like
with him.
Wendell Downswell. I'm not talking about the coach. I'm saying the technical committee in their WhatsApp group should have WhatsApped him. Because
We're not going to have anybody use us against the team. If you want to get into the England team, go try against the England team.
To use, I don't think Tyreek Mitchell is trying to use
No, that's
Jamaica.
what you're inferring.
No, I was not the person who asked that question. That question was asked and suggested on another platform, that there are players who use I think Tyreek Mitchell, when on the time when he was a bit more gun ho to come to Jamaica, and was reaching out and was speaking to people behind the scenes, his coach was, his agent, that Southgate had reached out to him and told him that he is not far out of his plans. And he I guess he took that to head. I mean, and never really moved anything forward. But I think he would have been dealt a severe blow today to his ego and everything else.
All right, we have a
He's just
caller
being
online.
clowned. But I wait for the caller. Yeah.
Good night, coach, and the panelists. Come on, me just listen to the conversation and me just want to share a little thing. The consistency thing we're not talking about. It's like, more find out, is Demar Phillips playing for any club right now or playing any football right now?
Who?
Demar Phillips.
No, something they play for Mount Pleasant.
So are they playing right now?
That's a very good point, caller.
Yeah, night coach. Mount Pleasant in a
Prove
preseason
it,
now,
man.
Them a play a tournament.
So that should have called
But the
about.
thing is
Mm.
but the thing is about competitive football. Where is they playing though? You have a guy named Tariq Maggie playing and scoring in that position that he's picked for. So what is that saying? That don't go with what he's
Carla,
saying.
Carla, Maggie, and
Yeah.
the Mario Phillips play two different positions.
But which position Demario Felix pick in the team for the lineup? What they said?
The Mario Phillips
Isn't
is
isn't he,
the Mario Phillips is a defensive midfielder, bro.
but is he picked for a defensive midfield role in this side? That's what I'm saying.
The graphic that was posted, the graphic
You have
doesn't
Lamb.
show. Hold on,
Carla, you have
Carla.
to listen. You have to listen.
The graphic that was posted doesn't show the position, like where in midfield the player plays. The player's name were replaced based on a strategic. It wasn't placed out to say that player is an attacking player. Not because you saw the player name at the base, the bottom of the midfielder list, mean that he's going to be playing up front. That's not what it means. It just means he's a midfielder. The Mario Phillips is not an attacking midfielder.
Okay, so what I'm saying is Lambert and Joel. What are they in the side?
You don't know that, Carla?
You know, realize that
Defensive midfielder.
the coach
Yeah,
play with the
yeah,
coach.
yeah.
The
I
coach
know that,
plays
but
with.
I'm saying how much defensive midfield are we picking in this team? That's what I'm saying.
So
Because
Carla,
you're
Carla,
yeah.
if Latibo there or Lambert get injured, we are gonna put there. Seeing that Demario Phillips should be in our squad.
Well, they do have Kira. Listen, but that's not the question. The question you should ask him is that the coach in the interview said he has a number of players who can play, who are utility
Multiple
players. They
positions.
can play in a number of positions, and that's the seems to be the sort of player that he is attracted to, a player who is versatile.
The thing is, you got to, some of the things that the coach is saying is not consistent with what he's doing. Because really and truly, you have the youth them will play professional football and do well. So them youth they need to get the opportunity just as anybody else. Because them are Phillips really and truly not playing any competitive football at this moment. It don't matter what we want to justify it and say, where is he playing?
No, caller, you called in and you said the Mario not played no ball game
And Mount Pleasant is in preseason. So
season, and
that's the club he plays for. So where should
you
he
get
go?
locked off. You get your son get locked off.
Should he go to Europe to play for one of
No.
those clubs? That Mount Pleasant in
I
play for?
never said he's not. I'm not saying he's not playing football now. I'm
Oh yes,
asking
he did.
where
Oh
is
yes,
he
he did,
playing?
sir.
No,
He's
but
played at Mount Pleasant.
you say he's not playing competitive football because the season not start, and they are currently in a competition. And then you say it's not competitive, but of course it is competitive.
But it's the same thing. It's the same thing as when Cataract said Whisper is not training. Whisper is training, but he's not playing competitive football. So what is the difference for what I say?
Where's Whisper training?
Where is he training?
He's training at Phoenix. What do you mean? Where is he training?
He's not a Phoenix player. Who told you he's training at Phoenix?
Whisper is not a Hooper player?
He's not a Phoenix player.
Come on, Cataract man. Come on, Cataract man. Come on.
Hold on.
Come on, no bother with that.
Let me know about it. Benjamin, when you sign for a club, you have a the pre-contract agreement.
You imagine me just call in for just point out a little matter and that's it. It's not a back and forth thing. So bless up yourself and good night.
All right.
Yeah, good night, sir. All right. Like when someone, but Brian just come in and lock off him and sound and cut. So, coach, it's a decent team, but we are injury ravaged, and we have to hope for the best. Yes, clearly we are lacking a cam. Clearly we are. So I don't think anybody can deny that fact. Would Ravel be the answer? I mean, it's possible, but I don't know the state that Ravel is in. And this has been for months now. Ravel hasn't been in the picture since the start of the year. In the club's picture since very early in the year, right? So I don't know. Maybe we should be saying that our pursuit we should be pursuing a serious camp option. I don't know. So I do have the concerns that Stan has, who's going to get the ball to thing. But then they ask, like, who is Bobby Reed? Who's Daniel Johnson? Daniel Johnson is a camp. So I would want to throw back to Stan Crank and ask, doesn't Daniel Johnson play for years? Can't Preston not in.
I'm going to use a term a friend of mine always use.
Yes.
In the UK. There are levels to this thing, Cataract. Levels. There are levels to this thing. I always remember this, Cataract. There are levels to this thing. Levels talks about quality. A player may be a good player, but when they have to step up to certain levels, they're not at that level. No matter how much they try, no matter how much they coach, it's not happening. And we don't have anybody with the skill set to play in that role to get the ball to the forwards who are some of our better players. It's a fact. We play the ball long in the air, it comes back to us, and everybody complains, and we can't realize that we need a conductor in the middle because we don't have a conductor. We have a Lati who's a defender playing midfield. We have other players who try. We have Lambert, who's probably a defender playing midfield. We don't have people with the skill set to manipulate the ball in the midfield, get the ball to the right people in the right time, in the right place, at the right pace. And we can't seem to see that. That's the problem. Now, one can say, well, that's all good and that's all good and well, but do we have people out there with that skill set? That's why the coach must be going recruiting and try to find them. Maybe convert Gray to play the 10. I've always said this. You talk about coaches being innovative. Well, Gray can make an incisive pass, and frankly, he doesn't like running back that much. That's why he's not at Everton. So maybe he go plays the 10 and he put somebody else out wide, because we have enough forward players. We have Cephas, we have Bailey, we have Nicholson, we have a bunch of forward players. We have Antonio, a bunch of forward players. And we have Bobby Reed. There's 5 or better players, and only 3 can play sometimes, and maybe 4. So why don't you put Gray in the 10 then, if that's the case, if you're struggling, to see if he can be that differentiator in the midfield. Try to be inventive and innovative versus just doing the same blasé thing every day and not thinking deductively about what we should be doing in certain areas. You say he likes utility players and players who can play in different positions. Well, you know what? Let's see you try that versus talking about it.
So Daniel Johnson his trade is a cam. His trade is an essential attacking midfielder. Are you saying Daniel Johnson is not at no levels? Bobby Reed has played at cam during his career. One of the many positions that he plays for Fulham.
Cataract, you're a sound man, and you're not good. You've done sound all your life, and you're not good. What does that mean?
He might get old,
what does that mean? Cataract, so you're a sound man, you play all your life, and you're still a warm-up selector.
I'm a warm-up selector.
There are levels to this thing. There are levels, okay?
Are you mad? Are you mad?
There are levels to this thing. Levels. Okay?
What?
And Bobby Reed and Daniel Johnson are not at a level for us to compete with the teams like United States in this region. They're just not in the 10 role. They're not.
Yeah, but we are playing and Grenada though, Don. What are you talking about?
We just draw with Haiti at home, Cataract. We drew with Haiti at home. And frankly, Cataract, don't use the teams that we're currently going to play because we don't see anybody else coming to fit those roles. So as we progress through the tournament, if we do progress, it's going to be the same team we're seeing again. The 1 or 2 players dropping in and out because of injuries. Come on, you know that. We still can't see on the horizon any place a cam with the skills that we need to be a differentiator.
But you're looking for a Pirlo, right? And I am more.
No, Pirlo played CDM. I'm not looking for Pirlo. Pirlo says CDM and then spread the ball.
But he redefined the CDM as a deep lying player maker. He's a deep lying playmaker.
I need an Odegaard. I was gonna say Fernandes, but I don't like his game, so I can't say that. Man, you're not doing well. But I need an Odegaard.
Who those people are? Anyway.
I need an Odegaard, I need a De Bruyne, not at that level, because we won't get anybody, but somebody with those skill sets, Cataract, we don't have it.
Qatar don't know football and we still
No,
play.
no, no, no. That's Arsenal and
No, that's true. You know, that's true. That's
Kevin
true. That's true. That's true.
and Bruno Fernandes at Manu. I'm just saying, like, why these names being called though? You know what I mean? Odegaard
No,
is
I'm giving you certain body you can compare the skill sets. It's not the player, it's the skill sets that you need. People can create something out of nothing. They may not have to be at that level, but they can still. McGee can create something out of nothing, frankly, because I've seen him do it. He just is not consistent doing it. And other parts of his game are not where it needs to be for him to be in the team. But McGee has some of those skills.
I was wondering when you were going to get around to McGee.
No, I'm not calling McGee because McGee can't make the team. So I'm not calling McGee.
That's why you're calling his name though.
I said he
Good.
has some of those skills. There are certain skills that certain players have which can help you move the ball in certain areas of the field to create opportunities for yourself. And right now, we don't have that in the team. It's lacking. It's a dirt. And some way we got to try to find it. Go hunt for those players someplace. Maybe they're not in Jamaica, but they got to be someplace somehow. What about the kid Ramsey that played for Burnley? Can we convert him? Can we try to get him to get a passport?
Ramsey? No, those brothers are not going to come.
Well, no, the older one is not going to come because he want to play for England. The younger one, we don't know. Go pursue the, go recruit. You say we have a recruit in England. Go recruit. Go find those players.
I think
Coach,
the eye is on Morgan Gibbs White, but
I don't
that
like Morgan Gibbs White. He's not going to play for Jamaica. He's going to try to play for England.
Coach, I wanted to. There was something that came up this morning before the press conference. The whole thing about Mason Greenwood, right? I don't know if you touched on it or if you were interested in talking about it, but I found it a bit suspicious. Katarak, you remember the guy that even asked the question in the
yeah,
press
man, him come
conference?
there late and try to ask the question again
Yeah, he was the
after
same one.
him write the article.
I was
Who
wondering.
that Parchment?
No, man, it wasn't Parchment. Some Blake
Oh,
something.
Daniel
I'm
Blake.
I'm wondering if he is the one who actually has an issue with the player playing and just wanted to stir up something, because I'm almost 100% certain that the persons that he mentioned by name, they don't know Mason Greenwood. So to me, it was just a bit.
Well,
Just,
I know. You see when them people that coming out a press conference, they ask specific question for write a story on it, you know. He actually wrote a story
on it already this
on
morning.
it, you know. Not this morning, 4:49 in the afternoon.
You wrote a next story again?
Yeah,
Yes.
man.
So they ask these questions for specific answers and responses so that they can go and pen whatever they want to pen.
Honestly, believe this brother is just looking for something. He's trying to stir up something.
No, man, a story. It's journalism, you know, Siobhan.
Yeah, but
If you keep him job too. So him when him go to these press conferences.
So guys, let's be fair. It's a very controversial topic.
Yeah.
There are
And it's
sides
the
to this,
readership is gonna come to it.
and let's not play the role of saying people are right or wrong. You got people at different sides of the aisle concerning this topic, and we have to understand that, right? We love football, so we will close our eyes to certain things which others will find reprehensible. Just be appreciative that, you know what, everybody's an opinion, they're entitled to opinion, and even when you sit any side you're on, you can understand why the other side is perturbed and disturbed and concerned. You have to, and if you don't, you're not objective.
that's true. But Cranky, one of the main things I remember with the whole Green situation at Manu, I remember when the whole thing came about when he was being considered to represent Manu again. And Adidas, someone asked Adidas, and Adidas made a comment stating that, hey, it has nothing to do with us. If the club agrees with having the player play, if his employer is okay with him playing, then there's nothing we can do. We support the team. We would not withdraw our sponsorship. So all the things that were being said there, and if you look at it, like, we've had so many other players in the world with the same allegations, and nothing has done to them.
So Siobhan, here's what you're missing. Siobhan. So I don't disagree. Like people like Mendy, whose career basically has been destroyed and has been acquitted, hasn't got the same level of of in the same level of communication in the media that they were, during his situation, right? There was a lot of news, a lot of publicity. He got ostracized, and he was found subsequently innocent. But the Greenwood situation is different. The problem with Greenwood situation is this, which is the person came out in social media and had pictures and optics which are hard to digest. You don't seem to realize that.
Yeah,
If
that's
this was
true.
something communicated verbally and you didn't see the pictures, there'd be a different perception on this, right? You saw what happened with Rice, who played for Baltimore, when he knocked out his girlfriend at the time, subsequently his wife, in the elevator. He never played another game in the National Football League, ever. Now, no one is espousing the view that Greenwood shouldn't play football again and have a livelihood and a vocation to explore and to do so he can make a living for his family. No one is saying that. But people should really understand that there's two sides to the story, sometimes three. And in this case, if you're on either side of the aisle, people shouldn't be sitting there thinking, why can't you see my point of view? Why are you so adamant about where you sit? One thing saying, why are you trying to kill the person's career? And two is, why are you trying to promote the person's career? On both sides, people have legitimate argument, and we just got to let it play out. If Jamaica want to bring the player in, and he can play for Jamaica, and those who love football want to play, then they'll be happy. But those who believe that we have had a history of women being abused, and people who are, especially those who are in the public domain getting away with it, would be extremely unhappy and think we're promoting something which is vile in their eyes. And other people on the other side would say, you can't destroy a kid's career, because he was a kid when he was a teenager when he did this, 19, whatever it was. People make mistakes when they're young, even when they're older. They have to be able to rehabilitate and get a second chance. Just understand both sides of it, and don't try to say, well, this other person's wrong because they have one side of it.
So, Stan, when I understand, you are correct in terms of the voice of balance. Let me say this. Manchester United conducted their own internal investigations, right? And in my humble opinion, had it turned up anything different than the police investigations, and they certainly don't have the level of resources that the Manchester Police Department has, they would have terminated his contract, right? The fact is that there are pictures on Instagram with a young lady who had bruises and injuries suggesting that she had been physically attacked. But there has been nothing, what do you call that thing again, forensic or otherwise, to say that it's Mason Greenwood. So it will never be answered, right? Unless it's something 40 years later, like we getting an answer to the Tupac Shakur murder in Las Vegas 40 years or 30 years ago, right? So, look, I think the story is unfortunate because I think they cherry picked who they wanted to speak to. And I would suspect that the writer may have spoken to many more persons than that and just simply chose to quote the voices who were consistent with the line of argument, right? I think the coach answered it correctly. There was only one thing that I would have wanted him to say, which is that he would consult with the members of the women's team to get their perspective on it. But he said it clear. Every coach would want the best players to play for them. And Mason Greenwood is one of the best players in the world.
Yeah, I'll correct you on one thing, Keterak.
Sure.
Manu is also culpable in the situation. Manu was going to bring Greenwood back. There's no doubt about that. Manu then got the backlash and they backed off. And because the person did not press charges doesn't mean the other person who was the perpetrator is innocent. Right? They backed off because they couldn't deal with the public backlash coming from all quarters. And here's another thing we're going to be concerned about. They have a £70 million asset, and nobody want to throw away £70 million because they've been pious, then they have this sense of moral compass or moral authority. They're not. Money talks. That's why they haven't cut him. It got nothing to do with what their investigation turned up. Because if they were
I don't have that information.
If they were going to do things the right way, as they're saying, the investigation turned up anything, why would they reinstate him?
Right. And I'm not saying that he's innocent. If you notice, I've never used that word. right?
Yeah.
But it's not for the person to press charges.
I noticed you just use it.
No, I'm responding to Stan Concrete. And my issue at the time when I spoke, you remember earlier, coaches, that's when we spoke about this. I said the real damning thing is that the persons who were witnesses have recanted their statement, and that's why the prosecution didn't go forward. So I'm not here to determine his guilt or not guilt. I'm here to say that the system in which the British justice system, the Old Bailey, has determined that he's not guilty. There's no case to prosecute, and so I have to move on.
No, but the public has prosecuted him.
But the public is not a court. It's
No,
just a
they are
public
in this case.
opinion.
In fact, they are in this case
Sure.
because he's playing in La Liga, so they have been effective in this case. Let's not confuse substance with form. They are in this case, and they've run him out of the Premier League.
Look here, the public just goes on. It's not a. I'm not going to argue because I know you're more intelligent than that to suggest that the court of public opinion is some court of jurisprudence that looks at evidence and weighs up the probability.
No, it's not about evidence,
It doesn't.
Cataract. It's about outcome.
What people do is what comes to them first, and they read. There were people who thought that if you took the COVID injection, you'd be flying around in the air because somebody put some stupid thing up on TikTok. So the public has a right to their opinions, but we are talking about a young man's livelihood at age 19, 20, right? If he's guilty, he's guilty. And I would have a totally different view. But there was no case to answer. And so I, for one, if somebody had asked me as the head of the Ultras, I would say I have no problem with Mason Greenwood coming here.
Here's the problem.
I do think, hold on, I do understand that it's a sensitive issue. So it's not a gun-ho situation where you trample on people's emotions and sensitivities. It's not as straightforward as calling up Michael Antonio, whose file is empty. Right?
Here's the problem, Cataract. Here's the problem, though, where you're missing. At no time has Manu and/or the authorities say he's been exonerated.
They
and
can't.
Nothing happened. Well, if you do your investigation, you have the evidence. You should be able to make that statement, can't you?
Yes, but at no point in time have they said that something happened as well.
Yeah, but Cataract,
so
you seem to be
negative.
suggesting. No, I understand that, but you seem to be suggesting that given the assessment that was done, it was found that he's not guilty. It's almost like a no contest situation. We haven't got anything to tell us anything different from whether or not he's guilty.
From what we already know. Right. I'm saying to you that it's no case to answer. That's what it really says. The witnesses recanted.
And the public disagrees.
Yeah, but
those in the public,
if I say to you that I am not, the statement I have given, I am not willing to stand by that statement, and I'm not willing to be questioned on that statement. And in the case of the other person, because there's two witnesses, they recanted and said they're not willing to stand by the statement that they gave.
Yeah, and you wonder what happened behind the scenes by the recanting. Somebody could be that. Somebody could say that, right? Somebody could think that way, right? Which is, I wonder what happened during the time between when the incident transpired and when they were interviewed, or when they went through the whole interrogation process by the authorities. What changed their mind?
I don't know.
Amazing how minds get changed sometimes, isn't it? So I'm not on either side.
But however,
I'm just an observer saying,
you know that when you're on bail, you're not allowed to interfere with witnesses. That's why that provision is there.
Cataract. You just Cataract. Sometimes,
gentlemen, we're gonna close up the show. Yeah,
the man said the show in our legal part. We want to talk about the squad.
We'll close out the show, because we're gonna use the opportunity to talk about the remaining part of the squad tomorrow. You understand? Because we're going in our other aspect of the discussion where.
No, coach. We're going on different levels because the players are different levels. That's why it's important to discuss the player, because we're trying to get player at certain level and we don't have them in the current squad. So it was pertinent conversation.
Yeah, that's why I said different level. The player discussion is not bad, but the level where the conversation gone is not bad either. But it's all on speculation.
It's all on speculation. We agree on that.
All right. So we'll continue this conversation tomorrow.
Big up the squad.
I
say big up the squad. I hope they get through in one piece this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope there are no injuries and
Or
withdrawals.
no more injuries.
No, to the squad. The squad itself.
Cataract, I'm in this for too long to know that this is going to be, if this squad come true, too good to be true. Something not gonna happen where you gotta replace one next man. Watch and see. And if it don't happen, I just saw it good. That one are good to be true. All right. So big up again, people. Big up Cranky, big up Chevron, big up Brian, big up Cataract. Who else was on? Yeah, big up Mr. Wilks for dropping by and clearing up some stuff. Even though everything now clear still, but we understand. We understand what I go on. Also, big up to all the viewers and subscribers, all the commenters, all the persons who watch when they're driving, when they're walking, when they're in their office, and when they're in their bed. Until next time, people, stay safe. Peace out.
Your style and your flavor make the city rock. They must say the season come out with a bang. Coach Minzy, best round here. Remember that.